All right, so think about your career for a second. Is it just this one slow climb up a ladder? Or what if it was more like a series of strategic leaps across the globe? Well, we're going to break down the exact game plan one guy used to get out of that hand-to-mouth grind and build some real borderless wealth. And trust me, this is about way more than just money. It's about designing a life that actually means something. There are a lot of high earners who are very, very unhappy. This quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It speaks to this weird paradox so many ambitious people run into. You can be making great money, getting all the promotions, and you still feel like, something's off. It's that gut feeling when you realize that success on paper and actual real fulfillment, yeah, they're not always the same thing. Okay, so this whole dilemma, it brings us right to our case study for today, a guy named Matt Whitmore. Now, on the surface, Matt had it made. He was a chartered accountant in South Africa, on a super solid career path. But inside, he felt completely trapped. He even said his own thinking at the time was, quote, narrow-minded, because he just knew that staying where he was meant closing the door on a world of opportunity. And look, this wasn't just some vague feeling of being stuck. No, this was a hard financial reality. I mean, despite being this highly qualified professional, he was basically living hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck. And that kind of pressure, that becomes the trigger. It's the thing that finally forces you to say, okay, I've got to look for a way out. And for him, that meant looking way beyond his own borders. So that brings us to his first big leap, London. And let's be super clear about this. This move wasn't about finding his passion or anything like that. Nope. This was a cold, calculated move. It was all about chasing capital, both financial capital and career capital. The whole point was to build a rock-solid foundation that he could then use to buy his freedom later on. So why leave your home country? I mean, for a lot of us, that's a huge emotional decision, right? But for Matt, at this point in his life, emotion wasn't really in the driver's seat. This was pure strategy. He just laid it all out, looked at his reality versus a potential future, and honestly, the numbers did all the talking. And when you look at the comparison, it's just so clear. In one column, you've got South Africa, living hand to mouth, dealing with a weaker currency. In the other column, you've got London, the chance to actually save money, earn in strong British pounds, and get that killer credibility that comes from working in a global financial hub. I mean, when you lay it out like that, the choice is kind of a no-brainer, isn't it? And that credibility piece, that was absolutely crucial. See, this move wasn't just about getting a bigger paycheck right away. Think of it more like an investment in his personal brand. Having London on your resume, especially in finance, it completely changes the game. It changes how people see you on a global scale. He was totally playing the long game here. Okay, so while he's in London, deep in the world of high-stakes mergers and acquisitions, Matt stumbles onto something, a kind of secret about the corporate world. And this one discovery, it was about to completely flip his entire perspective on what success even means. So what was he doing exactly? Well, his job was basically to look under the bonnet, or under the hood for some of us, of companies that were in deep, deep financial trouble. He was the guy digging into the guts of these businesses that, from the outside, just looked like these massive, untouchable giants. And this was the big aha moment. He pulled back the curtain and realized that these huge, intimidating companies, they weren't the perfect, well-oiled machines he thought they were. They weren't being run by some kind of superhumans. In his own words, a lot of the time he realized there's not a huge amount always going on. Can you imagine? Just getting that peek behind the curtain was, well, it was incredibly empowering. It completely demystified the whole idea of big business. For him, suddenly, he's looking at his own skill set and thinking, wait a minute, I can do this. I could probably even do it better. The question just became, if they can run a company like this, what's stopping me? So, armed with this powerful new confidence, suddenly those golden handcuffs of the corporate world, the big bonus, the fancy promotion, they started to lose their shine. He knew that climbing that ladder wasn't his real end game anymore. It was time. He was ready for leap number 2. You can really see his whole journey laid out in these 3 clear stages. Stage 1, back in South Africa, that was all about getting his education. Then stage 2, London, that was the grind, building up skills, building up cash, and that set him up for stage 3, Dubai, which was all about cashing in that capital for entrepreneurship and the lifestyle he actually wanted to live. And you'll notice the reasons for choosing Dubai were completely different from the reasons he chose London. This time, he wasn't just chasing the biggest paycheck. He was literally designing his life. He was looking for a place that was a hub for entrepreneurs, a place with a collaborative culture, great quality of life, and yeah, some sunshine probably didn't hurt. Dubai just ticked every single box. And did that pivot pay off? You bet it did. He started a real estate company with basically just a table, a chair, and a whiteboard, and in under 2 years grew it to a team of 40 people. That's just wow. It's such a powerful example of what can happen, that explosive growth, when you finally align your skills with the right environment. But the story doesn't just end with him becoming a successful entrepreneur. Because as he started to hit those financial goals he'd aimed for all those years, something interesting happened. His whole definition of success started to shift. He got to a point where he realized he needed something more meaningful than just another zero on the balance sheet. So he founded the Indisa Foundation. It's a charity that gives back by providing this really deep, individualized, long-term support for kids in South Africa, focusing on just one child at a time. And through that work, he learned something he never expected. He said that helping others taught him more about happiness and what really matters in life than his fancy, high-paying corporate job ever did. And this quote right here really sums up the whole mindset shift, doesn't it? I am smart enough to figure out how to make money whilst doing the things I actually enjoy. It's the core lesson of his entire journey. It's getting away from that false choice, the one that says you can either have a soulless job that pays well or do what you love and be broke. No, the real game is figuring out how to have both. All right, so this is a great story, but what does it actually mean for you? How can you take these lessons and apply them to your own career? Well, let's break it down. We're going to distill Matt's entire journey into a simple, actionable game plan. Okay, here it is. The 5-step level up game plan. Ready? Step 1 is assess your start. Get real with yourself. What are the financial or cultural limits where you are right now? Step 2, make the strategic leap. Move somewhere that gives you more financial and career firepower, even if it's just for a few years. Step 3, build confidence. Look under the bonnet in your own industry. Demystify what the big players are doing. Realize you can do it too. Step 4 is pivot with purpose. Once you've got that capital and confidence, move to a place that actually supports the life you want to live. And finally, step 5, define your why. Connect your work to something bigger than yourself. Find your purpose. When you look back at this whole story, going from feeling trapped to being totally free, it all started with just one single decision. That first calculated leap was the domino that knocked over all the rest. So that leaves just one question for you. What's the one leap you could make starting today?